Happy Saturday, everyone! You're watching another episode of Blank Canvas. I'm the voice behind the camera, Erica, and today's artist is Laura Groetzinger. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
So everyone who's joining us today, make sure you let us know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions or comments for Laura, let us know. So Laura, what are you working on today, and what medium are you working with?
So I am working on a floral piece. This is on a canvas, and I'm using watercolor inks. So they're similar style to watercolor, but you can usually get a more concentrated color. And I've actually never painted on an easel like this before, so I'm not used to the drips, but I'm kind of excited about it. I think it'll be cool.
Laura, how long have you been painting? Is this like from childhood or in the last few years?
So I've definitely been painting since childhood. I've always been really into florals. I actually used to do a lot more sewing with like textiles and stuff. So a lot of my work is kind of inspired by textile designers. And I studied art in school, but I'm actually a product designer. So now I just kind of do this whenever I have time. And I started Pink and Salt, which is my Instagram account, about a year ago.
Very cool. So we have quite a lot of people joining us today. So we have Faith from Belmar, New Jersey.
Hi, Faith.
And we have Bianca saying hello from San Diego, California.
Hey, Bianca.
Love it.
I'm going to San Diego next weekend.
Yay! Are you going to paint or just for a vacation?
Just for vacation.
Well, make sure you paint while you're there.
Yeah, I definitely will. There's lots of beautiful things there.
We have Robert saying hello from Brooklyn.
Hey, Robert.
We have a few people in here from California. We have Dawn from Norfolk, California. We have Jacqueline from Southern California. Vinny always chimes in. He's actually like someone who watches all the time. He says, "Can I keep it when she finishes?" Vinny, you always ask this question.
Sure, Vinny.
I'm just like, I always call first dibs. No, everyone's really cool who comes in, whether you're brand new or you watch the show all the time. We're always appreciative of it. So keep the comments and the questions coming. We have Barbara who says pretty.
Thank you.
We have someone in the audience who says hello from Bulgaria.
Wow.
Now, I know you're using flowers that you brought for reference. Do you normally do that?
Yeah, it's a little bit harder in New York because it's just harder to get your hands on the type of flowers that I like to paint. But this time of year is actually perfect because everyone's selling peonies and like big blooms and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, sometimes like particularly in winter, I'll end up just kind of painting from images and stuff on the computer, which doesn't really end up being as like organic a painting. But I appreciate when I have live flowers to paint from. I'm trying to figure out how to get like a concentrated color to stay in that area, even though I think like the dripping is cool.
We have Rosanna who's saying cool.
Hey, Rosanna.
Anna wants to know, is it watercolor paint?
Yeah, so I'm actually using a mix now because the ink is dripping a lot. So this color in particular is watercolor. It's Opera, which is my favorite color because it's kind of like a super vibrant magenta. Yeah, but everything below is watercolor ink, which is just sort of like a concentrated liquid watercolor.
Jackie wants to know, where are you located and how much do you charge for your paintings?
I'm in New York City, and my original paintings, like on my Etsy store, I have a bunch of paintings that are anything from like 8 by 10 to like 16 by 20, and those are usually like 60 to 120. For stuff that I do on canvas, which is usually just commissioned stuff at this point, it varies.
So basically, anyone who wants to see Laura's work, you can follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram will pop up periodically throughout the show. So make sure that you follow her. And her page is public, so even if you don't have an Instagram, you can still take a look at her work. Oh, Victoria says, just amazing. Regards from Iceland.
Wow, so cool.
We have Stefan saying hello. I'm watching from Germany.
Hey, Stefan.
And Jill says, just added you on Instagram. Beautiful work. This is Jillian from Montrose, Colorado.
Thank you so much.
We have Cheryl saying hi from South Africa.
Wow.
And Vinny said, wow, super affordable.
Yeah, if you want to check out my Etsy store, it's also Pink and Salt. And I have like, I think 40 something. I have a bunch of stuff up there right now.
Goya says, so very beautiful.
Thanks, Goya.
And Anna wants to know, what is the best way to preserve paintings like yours from fading with time?
That's a really good question because it is tough. I have like a varnish that I use, and it's UV protectant, and I usually spray 1 or 2 coats, and it'll help sort of make sure that it doesn't fade from sunlight. And that seems to be the best method.
Lulu, who she watches just about every weekend. So Lulu, I'm glad you're watching again today. She said, this is a flower that will be great on a shirt.
Thanks.
See that?
That's so nice.
We're giving Laura some new ideas. That's what we do on Blank Canvas, guys. Cresta, you're asking if this is on canvas or paper. It's on canvas. And for everyone who's just tuning in, you're watching Blank Canvas today. Our artist is Laura Groetzinger, And you can follow her on Instagram, and she's working on a beautiful painting here of like the flowers that she has to the side that's closer to the canvas on the left as her inspiration. Heather says very cool.
Thanks, Heather.
And Cindy says, hi from the South Island, New Zealand.
Wow.
I like that. She said gorgeous colors.
Thank you.
And Heather says, I love this. It's absolutely beautiful. You're an amazing artist.
Thank you so much.
Laura's getting a lot of love here, guys. Keep it coming. Anna wants to know, do you ship international? I'm in Colombia.
I do. I have before. Shipping is just very expensive, but I'm happy to do it.
I don't know if this person knows you, but Catherine said, can you please sing while you paint? Do you sing?
I wonder, I don't know what Catherine that is. That's so funny. Yes, I do.
Kapusniski?
Oh my gosh. Wait.
So I'm assuming this is someone you obviously know, and they want you to paint and sing. We've never actually had anyone sing and paint on blank canvas. If you want to be the first.
Oh my God. I don't know what I would sing.
Sing about how beautiful this painting is. Because it really is pretty cool. I like it.
Thank you.
Kimberly says, so different. I absolutely love, love, love it.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Diane says, I want this picture. I have been looking for a painting with such vibrant colors. Diane, if you follow her on Instagram, you can also see her Etsy account, and there you can purchase some of her work. Or all of her work, whatever you'd like. Sky's the limit.
I kind of shared, Diane, is that?
Yes.
So that, yeah. I shared that same feeling. Like I always felt like things that were pink were often like too cute and not sort of like vibrant and colorful enough. So that was one of the reasons that I started like painting again after school, was that I just couldn't find what I wanted to hang in my home, so I tried to start creating it. Although I'm very critical of myself, so I don't often hang my own stuff.
Lulu wants to know, besides what you're painting now, have you ever painted or drawn anime?
I haven't. I would love to try, but I haven't done any of that. I do a bunch of drawing. I love figure drawing, but no anime.
We have Linda saying, hello from Indiana. I am loving this.
Thanks, Linda. I'm from Ohio, which is nearby.
We still have Catherine asking you to sing En Vogue's My Lovin' while you paint. Pretty funny.
That's not funny. Just kidding.
Sabrina wants to know, any tips for using watercolors?
Any tips? Let's see. I think something that kind of took me a while to learn is that you have to sort of wait and see how things dry and how the colors are working, and not try and add a bunch of color from the very beginning. Because it's really easy to overdo it. So sometimes I'll work on multiple paintings at once, so that I can kind of like take a break and go to the next one and make sure that I'm not adding too much color too soon. It helps you kind of pace yourself. So I guess my tip would be try doing multiple at once. And for my kind of style, I think just being like really loose and not overly prescriptive about like what you think your painting should look like, because often like the coolest blends of color and shapes come from like things that you didn't actually intend or expect to happen.
We have Josie who says nice. And we have Dominique who wants to know, when did you start painting?
I started painting when I was little, you know, like everyone does, but I did do a bunch of painting in college and kind of focused more on my career as a designer after that. But in the past year, I've been trying to get back into it.
We have Linda who wants to know, do you start with a picture in mind?
I usually start with a flower in mind. So sometimes that's a picture, sometimes it's something like this. But yeah.
Well, what is it about flowers that, why is that? Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. So I guess I think that, I don't know, it's like the organic shape of flowers is very human-like in a lot of ways, like obviously inspired by people like George O'Keeffe, and I typically try to pick flowers that are irregular in their shape. Like this one to me is a little too rounded because I'm never really going for something that, I'm always trying to steer away from like things that are too cute and things that feel like more emotional than you would normally think of when you think of like pink and florals. And I think that flowers are like a very expressive object. They usually give people a lot of feelings. I guess that's why.
Melissa said, good afternoon, Laura. I think your painting is looking pretty good so far. I love the bright pink. How about some purple?
Purple? I could try out some purple.
Okay.
I'm kind of scared of purple.
Why?
Because I identify purple with like, I don't know. It's a personal thing.
Okay.
But I appreciate the suggestion, and I could try it if you want me to. Here, this one's pretty cool. I can't believe Catherine's watching.
Carolyn wants to know, what type of brushes do you use?
Oh, so my favorite brush, here I'll show you, is a filbert brush. So it has like a rounded tip, and what's cool about this is that it's large enough that you can be like sort of like expressive in your shapes, but the rounded top makes it so that like you can still make little more pointed lines if you want to. I find it just like also for the type of content that I paint, the filbert brush usually like makes those shapes better than other shaped brushes.
Desiree wants to know, what's the name of the pink color you're using?
This one is cyclamen, and this is the purple that I just added. But I've been using a lot of opera and wild rose. I'm trying to I really want to put a red in, but I don't think I brought any.
Trisha says, I really like your bracelet.
Thank you. Thanks, Trisha.
Mel wanted to know, would love to know why not purple, if you're willing to say it. If you're not, it's totally fine.
Did Mel ask for purple in the before?
No, it's a different. It's
Oh, okay.
a new person.
It's because of kind of what I was saying before, not to be repetitive, but I think there's like a fine line when you're using pink and when you're painting flowers, that things can look like girly and cutesy in a childish way. And I find that when I use purple, it ends up looking more like that than I want it to. Although there's definitely purples that that work, like ones that are a little bit more muted or more brown. One of my favorite colors is mahogany, which doesn't sound like a purple, but it ends up being kind of like a reddish tint that looks similar to that flower.
I like that. Nikki wants to know, do you always incorporate the dripping effect?
No, this is actually my first time. Usually I paint flat, so this is way more abstract than what I would usually do, but it's kind of interesting.
Carrie says, very nice, beautiful color.
Thank you, Carrie.
And Michelle says, love this, it's very inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
We have Cassie saying hello from Ontario, Ohio.
Oh, wow. My home state.
So for anyone who's just joining us, today on Blank Canvas, we have artist Laura Groetzinger, and you can follow her on Instagram, and you could also find her on Etsy, and it's the same Instagram name, excuse me. So you can look at her work on Instagram. You can like her stuff, DM her, ask her some questions, maybe even, like, if you're an artist, maybe even tag her in some of your work so you guys can kind of vibe off one another.
Yeah, that would be
See how
amazing.
it's going. Yeah, I think artists can always learn stuff from other artists.
For sure.
Yeah, if you go on Etsy and there's a painting or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that you want to buy, go right ahead. Do you have any inspiration, meaning from other artists that you kind of look up to, or?
Yeah, so Helen Deltry is a textile designer who lives in Brooklyn, and she is one of my all-time favorites. There's also an artist named Kafe, K-A-F-F-E, Facet, and he's also a textile designer. I've been following him since I was little, and he loves florals and does a bunch of like cool embroidery stuff and fabrics, and he's amazing.
What's the tool that you were just using?
I don't know what it's called. I think it's just a foam brush.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started using these recently because I did a really large canvas, and they come in all different sizes, so it's easy to get like a huge sort of like swooping brush stroke. And sometimes brushes that are this big or even bigger are super expensive, so I think this is like a good tool to use instead.
Carol says, beautiful, love the colors. I'm an artist. You make watercolor look easy.
That's very nice.
Yeah, Rowena says, beautiful colors. And Melissa said, thank you so much for reading my comment. That really surprised me when you did. You both made my day. We're happy to make your day, Melissa.
That's amazing.
Everyone who's watching today is making mine and Laura's day. we so appreciate everyone who's tuning in right now, and keep sending your comments and your questions. Hopefully I can get to as many as possible. I love when you guys have really good questions that kind of stump the artist. Lulu wants to know, have you ever painted anything from your childhood?
Huh. That's a great question. I have. Recently I painted some lilies of the valley, which are like a really small bell-like flower that grew in my backyard growing up. So that's the most recent thing I can think of.
Lindsay says, gorgeous. I love watercolors and the dripping effect reminds me of melting wax. Such a calming ambiance comes off the canvas.
Oh, that's cool. I might try a different paper. Is that okay if I
Say it again?
if I try out a different paper and let this dry?
Go right
for a little
ahead.
bit? Okay, we'll just test it out.
Guys, we like to switch it up on blank canvas.
I have no idea how this will work. But the color might stick a little bit better.
So are you going to use the same flowers as inspiration for this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just gonna try like a little bit of a different style. See if I can, I think the dripping was getting a little out of control on that.
But it might be a new thing for you because a lot of people actually really like it.
I know, it's cool to hear. I will definitely keep trying it. I really like the more abstract work.
Tyler said, I want to watch Erica paint for once. Tyler, if you watch me paint, I'll be on every weekend. We won't have any other artists. No, I'm really terrible, actually.
Really?
But I do appreciate you wanting to see me paint. Sherry says, watercolor is my favorite style. Yours is a lot of a different style than mine. I like old buildings with pen and ink for details. Yours is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. That's so cool. I love architecture with watercolor too.
Rose says amazing. And Patty says, Laura, what's your favorite flower?
Probably there's a specific type of iris that is like, the shape is just like, they're really, really crazy shapes, especially when they get kind of wilted looking. So that's probably my favorite.
Rose says, I like the dark reds. And Jan says, beautiful. And Fariel says, you make this look so simple and easy. Very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
And Kristen wrote, want. So for everyone who's just tuning in, today's artist on Blank Canvas is Laura Groetzinger here, and you can follow her on Instagram, and you can also check out her Etsy page, Pink and Salt, right? Am I saying this right?
Yep.
Yes, Pink and
Pink
Salt.
and Salt.
I feel like I might have been saying that wrong for a second. And if you want to purchase any of her paintings, you can go to her Etsy page, and you can also see a lot of her work on her Instagram as well, and show her some love there too. And for everyone who's probably just tuning in who might have missed it, Laura, can you explain what you're working on today, what medium you're using, and why you chose to go this route?
So I am working on sort of a floral abstract piece, and I'm using both regular watercolor and watercolor ink. And I usually use a lot of watercolor ink because it's so concentrated, you can use a lot of water, and then the colors start like blending together in a really beautiful way. So that's why I love this medium. And I chose flowers today just because it's what I'm most comfortable painting, so I don't often paint in front of other people.
We have Nancy who says, beautiful for sure.
Thank you.
And Angeline says, cool, I like this.
Thanks, Angeline.
Melissa, you'll see that Laura's Instagram page will pop up periodically throughout the show, but it's Pink and Salt. So you can follow her on Instagram, and you can also check out her Etsy page, which is the same name. And that goes for everyone else, too. But Melissa didn't quite catch it before.
I post a lot of videos, so you can see more of this, but they're usually sped up.
Rose wants to know, at what age did you discover you had a talent for painting?
I guess, as I said before, I'm very sort of like critical of my own work, so it's a hard question for me, but I knew that I always loved it, and so I think it was a hobby of mine probably from age like 10 or something like that. I've always been doing some type of painting or drawing.
We have Sherry wanting to know, are you using cold press paper?
I think this is hot pressed. So yeah, it also helps like hold the concentrated color when it's hot pressed. I don't actually know that for a fact, but that is what I have experienced.
Maury wants to know, what grade of watercolor paper do you use? Any special kind?
I usually use Arches. I forget what the weight is, but I like to use their blocks because usually if I'm using like a sheet of paper like this, I'll tape it down because all of the water will make the page wrinkle. But with Arches blocks, they're all glued together, so you do one and then you rip it off and you do another one, and I think it's like a great way to make sure that your paper stays nice and flat.
Patty has a really good question. Something that I never even asked you when I booked you for the show. Why Pink and Salt?
So pink is obviously my favorite color, and it's something that sort of inspires my art because I feel like it's often really discouraged when you're in school and you're doing like fine art. And I think because I was trying to, in school, be like the kind of artist that other people were and that like my teachers wanted me to be, I didn't use pink a lot, and I didn't kind of like follow the things that I thought were really beautiful and wanted to paint. So I don't know if that's a good explanation, but that's kind of where it comes from. It's like it's rebelling against my art education.
We have Ada here who's saying, this makes me miss all of those TV shows to paint watercolors or crafting. This is an awesome idea to bring to Facebook Live. Thank you, Ada. We really do appreciate that, and we're glad that you're watching today. Lisa says, pretty.
Thanks, Lisa.
And Melissa says, I found her and now I'm following her. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
We're glad that you are, Melissa. You know, Laura, I know you don't usually say that you paint flat, but a lot of people love this dripping effect.
Yeah? That's
they do.
so cool. I love when I do something that's not comfortable and it turns out okay.
We're taking you out of your comfort zone for
Yeah.
blank canvas here, Laura. I like it.
For sure.
And I love that you're going with it and you're sticking to it. And people love it.
Thanks, Erica.
You're welcome. Sherry said, have you ever used salt with your watercolor? It has such a neat effect.
That is a great question. I have tried it out a few times, and I like it. I think it is a cool effect.
Julie says a large 10 by 15 would be stunning.
10 by 15. I'm really into doing like huge blooms lately. So I've been trying to paint bigger, but it's definitely hard in New York just because there's less space.
Rachel says, watercolors are fun, my favorite to use. Anne says, wow. And Nelma says, I admire anyone that can do this. It's lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Jackie says, I love to watch one paint, especially flowers. And Julie says, hi, you are so talented.
Aw, thanks.
Outside of watercolors, what other mediums have you used? If any.
Yeah, I really love figure drawing, which I usually do with charcoal. And I think just like ink, whether it's like a calligraphy pen or just like a very fine point pen. That's like my favorite way to draw. So sometimes I'll do landscapes where I start with like a very fine point pen and then I go in and put watercolor in afterwards. So those two are my favorite mediums.
We have Bree from Colorado who wants to know, have you ever started a painting and just were not able to finish it?
Oh, a million times, yeah. I definitely, I do a lot of terrible paintings or things that I'm not happy with, and yeah, I think it's important not to get discouraged because your painting style changes so much based on like what you did that day or I don't know, how much sleep you got. I'm very inconsistent.
Tanya says, I love painting, but I never know what to paint. And Kathy says, very pretty.
Thanks.
We have Lynn who says, so amazing. And Kim who said, I love the painting, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Teresa says, very talented, lovely. Keep up the good work. God's blessing to you.
Oh, thank you.
And Deborah says, this is very beautiful. Love it.
Thanks, Deborah.
Cassie wants to know, do you ever paint with oil?
I don't. I have tried before, but just sort of like some old paints of my dad's that I found and I didn't know what I was doing. I'd love to take a class or to learn more about that.
Gladys says, wow, I love this. And Grace wants to know something that actually I've been wondering this entire time that you've been painting. How do you not make a huge mess when you paint? Because you literally have on a white shirt. And I can't even keep food off my clothes, let alone paint.
I definitely do make a mess all the time. Just ask my roommate. But I'm doing okay right now.
No, you really are. Isabel said, really pretty, love the floral painting.
Thank you.
And Barbara says, beautiful, love watching you. Hello from Rochester, New York.
Hey, Barbara.
And Ja says, stunning artistry. Thank you for saying never get discouraged. That was very inspirational.
Oh, I'm so glad. Getting discouraged is part of art.
Yeah, we're all a little hard on ourselves with certain things, especially when we want it to be great.
Yeah.
But either we put it down, we go back to it. I hear a lot of artists say that. They're like, sometimes I just have to take time away from what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And like, they're like, either I see it a different way later, or they still hate it.
Yeah.
But they're like, I have to finish this.
Yeah.
Or we have artists who say, I literally started painting 12 years ago, and it's still in my basement, and I have like a love-hate relationship with it, and I just can't finish it. So.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I was really surprised by how supportive everyone is on Instagram. I would say, I would encourage people to share their work because you're usually your worst critic. And sometimes it helps when other people are very supportive.
Oh, Sharon said, I think you should look into selling some of your florals to high-end wallpaper companies. I know I would buy some. Hi from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
Sharon, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I like that. And she knows she would be a customer.
Oh, so great. Thank you.
Kim says, very colorful. I love the pink. Trisha wants to know, could you talk about the different brushes you use and why?
Sure. So I already talked a little bit about the filbert one. This I usually use for leaves and petals because the shape of the brush just like sort of organically makes like this sort of shape, which helps. And then when I'm doing leaves or finer details, I use just a finer point. And I mostly just switch between those two. Although if I'm doing something bigger, I'll use foam brushes like this.
Rose wants to know, how long does it usually take you to finish a painting?
It really depends. If it's on canvas, it'll take me much longer. Like sometimes I have to wait for the water to dry and then come back to it later. So like several hours depending on how big it is. But these take me anywhere from I guess 25 minutes to an hour and a half. But it often takes me like many tries to get something that I like. It's sort of, my style is very fast because I think that I like the effect that that gives, but sometimes when you do things quickly it doesn't turn out well. So I usually have to do a bunch of versions before I get what I want.
So for everyone who's just tuning in, today's artist is Laura Groetzinger. You can find her on Instagram, it's Pink and Salt, and you can also look at her Etsy page to purchase some of her work. Thank you everyone who watched today, tuned in, showed Laura some love, sent comments and questions. Laura, thank you so much for being on Blank Canvas today.
Of course.
You were awesome, and you actually got through 2 paintings. And we pushed you to your limit because you usually paint flat, but today we decided together that you were going to paint upright. But thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a happy Saturday. Blank Canvas is on every Saturday and Sunday. Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Sundays at noon. So check back in tomorrow because we'll have another awesome artist. And everyone enjoy your weekend. Bye.